Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly for those of you that do not know me if you are new here. If you are new here, like, comment, and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. And we're just gonna jump right into today's video. My baby's sleeping, so I'm gonna get the ball rolling, okay? So today's video is gonna be all about breastfeeding. And I can ramble on and on about breastfeeding, okay? So it's gonna be like breastfeeding 101. I could definitely do more videos if people have more questions or want to know more. But just for the time's sake of this video, it's gonna be like breastfeeding 101, as well as my journey, some of the questions I got, and then some of like the not so glamorous things that no one talks about breastfeeding, because it's hard. Okay, everyone always talks about like all the benefits to breastfeeding, why it's so great, and trust me, I get it. It's why I decided to breastfeed, but it's hard. It's draining. Okay, so without further ado, let's go. I have loved every minute of breastfeeding. I definitely feel like I made the right decision in choosing to breastfeed my child. And I don't say that simply because of the benefits of breastfeeding, but because it's what works for me and my baby. And now I feel like there is a lot of shame for moms who don't breastfeed. And I just want to clear the air right now. Like, this is not the video about that, okay? Fed is best. So many people say breast is best, and there are a lot of great benefits to it. But at the end of the day, a fed child is the best child, okay? And you want to also take into consideration mom's mental health and mom's physical health because, like I said before, it's draining, okay? So, my specific journey, we've been breastfeeding for 4.5 months, and there have definitely been times throughout the journey where I was like, okay, I am ready just to give her some formula. Like, this is too much. But we powered through, and here we are. So, with my experience in breastfeeding, my 4.5 months worth, I have come up with some tips for successful breastfeeding, or things that I just found that helped me, successfully get through those first few draining months, okay? So I went to a breastfeeding class, and it was provided by the hospital that actually gave birth. So a lot of hospitals actually do have this. There's a bunch of like lactation consultants that you can speak to about breastfeeding. There's Latch Me groups, or yeah, Latch Me, Lalalechi groups. I think that's how you say it. So definitely look into those if you really want to do more research in breastfeeding. So for me, just like the health benefits alone are what drew me to it. And then once I attended the class, I felt a lot more comfortable in kind of taking on this big task. So at the class, they talked a lot about getting a good latch with breastfeeding, and that is one of like the hardest things to do, okay? Because sometimes babies don't know how to latch right away, okay? They come out with, nothing, like they're clean slates, okay? They learn in the womb how to suckle and everything like that, but sometimes that doesn't translate to actually suckling on a breast or a nipple of a bottle for that matter. So, some of the tips that I have for making sure you have a good latch is allowing the baby to get as much areola as possible. Okay, so you have your nipple and then you have the areola around the nipple, and so many people think that you just have to get the nipple, but no, that's painful. You're gonna end up with blisters or bruises or scabs, cuts, because you're not used to that type of chomping, okay? So definitely make sure that the baby has as much areola as possible in their mouth, okay? And one way to do this is to line up your nipple with their nose, okay? You would assume just in their mouth, like, to line it up, but if you do that, they're actually only gonna get like the very top half of the areola and the nipple, okay? So when you line it up to their nose, they're getting, that part under the nipple, so they're getting more of the areola. All right, so if you line up their mouth to your nipple to their nose, you're gonna get more of that areola in their mouth when they go to open up and latch, okay? Another thing is to adjust the baby's mouth and latch while they're still latched, okay? If you keep unlatching them, relatching them, unlatching them, they're gonna get frustrated, okay? All they want is milk at this point. They don't care if you're in pain, like, give me milk, that's all that's on their mind, okay? So, the best thing you can kind of do is move your breast while they're still feeding, to kind of readjust the nipple and areola in their mouth while they're still feeding. Because if you keep unlatching them and latching them, they're gonna get frustrated, they're not gonna want to latch anymore, and they're gonna be like, screw it, give me a bottle, all right? So that's definitely a major tip that I have, because like I said, frustration. Let's see. Try out multiple feeding positions, okay? So one thing that I went through when I started breastfeeding was I was an overproducer, okay? Like, my daughter would unlatch and I would be spraying everywhere, all right? The poor thing would be pretty much drowning in milk. So a lot of the time she would unlatch because she had so much milk in her mouth, and I had such a forceful letdown, okay, that she would be struggling. So I had to try different feeding positions with her, and I actually ended up feeding her pretty much like sitting up for, I want to say, like the first 2 months, until my breast milk kind of leveled out. So like I said, I would like sit her in my lap, and I would like have her facing me, and I would just have her sitting up, like sitting upright, drinking that way, because it was easier for her to control. And then sometimes I would even like lean backwards and have her latch to me like that, because, you know, the force of gravity kind of affects that let down of your breasts. So definitely try out different feeding positions, because babies are different, and they're also going to go through different stages. So that way it doesn't work anymore. Now I just have to like let her lay across my lap and just sit there, and she latches like that. So babies change the way they want to latch. So that could definitely be something that you have to consider, is the position in which they're latching, okay? Let's see. Biggest tip right here, like this is my number one tip. Anytime anyone asks me about breastfeeding, this is always what I tell them. You have to remain calm, okay, and relaxed, because a baby can sense your tension, and if you're tense, they're gonna get frustrated, they're gonna get flustered, they're gonna get tense, and they're not gonna want to latch. Okay, so remain calm. It's so easy to get worked up and frustrated, okay, because here you are, you just want your baby to eat. You just want them to eat. You want them to get the nutrients they need. You want them to grow. You know, that's what makes you feel like you succeed as a mom, right? So it's so easy to get flustered when they're having a hard time latching, or if they keep unlatching, and it can be totally frustrating. So my biggest piece of advice is just to remain calm and relaxed, okay? You know, really take the time to do the skin to skin before you try and get the baby to latch. That's gonna make the latch so much easier. It's gonna make them actually want to latch. So try and do some skin to skin before you know your baby's gonna be hungry. Obviously that's tough in the beginning because this is all new, so you're not exactly sure how often your baby eats and everything like that. But once you kind of gauge how often they're eating, for newborns eat a lot, okay? They eat about like every 2 to 3 hours, okay? So you know that time's approaching, go ahead, do some skin to skin, and then slowly you'll see their head bobble down to your breast, and you know they'll be ready to latch, all right? So definitely skin to skin. That fixed a lot of issues for me with Amina. She went through a phase where she didn't want to latch right away. Not in the beginning. In the beginning we were fine. She easy peasy. But she went through a phase when she started teething where she didn't want to latch to me. So I did some skin to skin, and that fixed it. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Other times it can be really complicated. Let me see. Another thing that I did not know you're supposed to do while you're breastfeeding, I found out at my checkup after I gave birth, like my postpartum checkup, you actually need to keep taking your prenatals, people, okay? So needless to say, once I found that out, I started taking them again. Take your prenatals, okay? Because now you are still eating for 2, okay? You're still eating things for your baby. You're still giving them the nutrients from you, okay? So take your prenatals and stay hydrated, okay? I cannot tell you how many times I'm like so thirsty while I'm breastfeeding, because in my case, your baby's literally like sucking the life out of you, okay? Like they're taking your nutrients. They are taking out a lot of water, okay? Breast milk is mainly water, so make sure you stay hydrated. I'm not saying like go drown your organs in water. Drink to your thirst. You know, if you're thirsty, drink water, but you're gonna be thirsty a lot. All right. And then please, 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 for your own sake, get nipple butter. Okay, this is the one I used. This right here. So this is the Earth Mama organic nipple butter. Okay. And when I say get a nipple butter, even if you are latching the baby correctly and you guys have a good latch going, your nipples still have never gone through that type of suction, if you want to call it. Okay, they're still not used to that, so it's still going to be a little tender. All right, even if you don't have those bumps, bruises, cuts, and everything like that, still nipple butter is definitely worth it. Makes it a little bit easier. Okay, and this is an organic one, and you don't have to wash it off before nursing. Totally okay for the baby to taste if it's still on your nipple. Okay, so definitely want this. Another thing that you are going to need, good old nursing pads. Okay, I will take one out and show you. So basically this just goes right onto your bra, like on the inside of your bra you have it, and it just opens up. Okay, see, and then there's like little sticky pads on the back, okay, that you can just rip off and you place inside your bra, so if it leaks, you don't know, no one else knows. Okay, so have that as well. In the beginning of you breastfeeding, or at least for me, I know for me, I was an overproducer, so I leaked a lot. All right, so that was something I had to learn to manage. Okay, let's see, what other tips and advice? Okay, now this is about as basic as it gets with breastfeeding. You feed on demand. Okay, so when baby wants to eat, you feed. All right, so this is definitely something to consider when you are determining whether or not you want to breastfeed, okay? Because it's draining. And for about a month, you are it, all right? Baby's hungry, you are it. Dad can't help, grandma can't help, no one can really help, okay? Because you have to get your breast acclimated to the amount of milk that your baby needs. You need to get your supply with the demand. You have to get those on the same page. So that is why it can be draining. Breastfed babies typically eat every 2 to 3 hours, and breast milk actually digests quicker through a baby's digestive system. So that being said, it digests quicker, they excrete it quicker, and they're hungry quicker. So they do eat more often. Breastfed babies do eat more frequently. So that also affects at nighttime. Okay, how frequently they're getting up to eat, how long they're staying full. So those are all things to consider. So until we introduced the bottle, like until I started pumping and giving the baby the bottle, that whole month, it was just me at night, okay? Brian would get up with me because obviously he wanted to be supportive, but at the end of the day, you're the one that has to be responsible for the baby's eating, okay? Like solely, you're solely responsible for that now. So that is, it could be a lot of pressure breastfeeding. So that being said, that has been like, you know, the beginning of my experience, some of the tips that I have for you. And so now we're gonna jump into some of the questions I got, and then we'll kind of go into the nitty gritty. Okay, so let me grab my phone. Oh, I'm recording on my phone because my camera didn't want to work. So I remember the majority of the questions I got. Some of them were kind of similar. So one of the main questions I got was, when do you think you're going to supplement, or have you considered supplementing formula at some point? Now, I have definitely given thought about supplementing formula because, like I said, breastfeeding is draining. I can't say it enough because I think that so many people don't get that. So I've definitely considered supplementing formula so many times. And I'm very grateful and very lucky that I get to stay home with my daughter during this time. with her, so I haven't felt the need to supplement formula yet because my sole job right now is her. Aside from, you know, freelance makeup and everything like that in school, you know, it's me and her all day, every day, 24/7. So I haven't felt the need to supplement yet, but I do think that if and when I get into nursing school, I find out in a few days actually if I got into an RN program I applied for. So when I go into nursing school, that is definitely something I'm going to have to consider, because my schedule is going to be a lot more demanding of me. So as of right now, we are not supplementing formula, but in the future, potentially. My goal is to breastfeed for a year, but you know, with new life demands, it might not be realistic for us. So I will update you. Let me see. Another question I got was, what was the hardest part of breastfeeding? Hardest part, pumping. Okay, not the hardest part. It's just my least favorite part. All right, I hate pumping. You have to clean the bottles, sterilize the bottles, sterilize the pump stuff, get the pump going. By the time you do all that, like, baby's sleeping, baby's up now. Okay, like, you took up so much time pumping, and it's not even the actual pumping, like the actual milk coming out. It's setting everything up and cleaning everything. So that is my least favorite part, or the hardest part for me. And then another question I got was, if I notice when I eat stuff, like how that affects baby. So the only thing that I have to say about that is I cook with a lot of garlic and onion, so it definitely makes her gassy. So I've definitely had to regulate that myself and not put so much garlic and onion in my food so that she doesn't get gassy. So now that another thing about that, we do give her vitamin D drops, which helps with like colic, and it's like a probiotic. Her doctor or her pediatrician recommended it, so that is one thing that we do give her while she eats, so that kind of helps that. But honestly, that's the only issue I've noticed with my diet is garlic and onion, so I kind of gotta get a rein on that. And that's pretty much that. So, and the other question I got that kind of leads into the nitty-gritty. Do I recommend breastfeeding for people who have a demanding job or a demanding lifestyle? That is totally up to you. I can't tell you, you know, you have to feed your you have to feed your baby breastfed milk, like breastfeeding is best. No. At the end of the day, breastfeeding or formula feeding, it comes down to what works for you and your family, okay? For me, right now, breastfeeding works because I'm with my baby all the time. If you have a demanding job, sometimes that stress, it's better if the baby has formula, okay? It is better if you have means to feed the baby and have others help you with that, okay? So don't feel like just because there's so many people out there that are saying like, oh, breast is best, that you have to breastfeed your baby. There are definitely benefits to it, but at the end of the day, if it's conflicting with your schedule, it's causing you stress, and you're overwhelmed with it, it's okay. Like, you do not need to do that to yourself. You don't have to put that stress on yourself. What your baby needs is a happy mom, okay? I see that float around all the time on social media, like a little quote, your baby just needs a happy mom, okay? So breastfeeding is definitely difficult, and there's a lot of trials and tribulations with it, okay? It can be draining, as I've said about 1,000 times in this video. So do what is best for you, okay? I definitely am a strong supporter of breastfeeding. I think it is definitely amazing to do, simply for the bond and the health benefits of it. But at the end of the day, feed your baby. That's it, okay? Just feed your baby. Make them chunky. You love them little chunky babies, okay? So yeah, that's really it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Any other breastfeeding type of questions, feel free to ask in the comments and I will answer. Or you can Instagram me, let me know. I can even write a blog if you guys would prefer that. So let me know. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching.